everybody, Randy Bartlett here with an ego check today. What's an ego check? An ego check is when you have to really be honest with yourself and say, was it really me? Was I that good? And I would do an ego check after every event, and it works like this. You know, you would sometimes do a wedding where you just slay. Like every joke you told, they laughed. Every time you wanted applause, they roared with applause. Every song you played, they were running to the dance floor, man. You put on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and they're like, Rudolph, right? So you walk away and you go, man, I slayed this thing. Especially on those events, it's really time for an ego check. And the ego check is simply this. Was it me? Did I do this? What did I do at this wedding today that a normal, run-of-the-mill, decent, competent DJ couldn't have done? The reality is there are some weddings, and it ends up being sometimes some of the best ones, where you go, you know, it was just an unbelievable crowd. It just, everything about it. They were going to, in fact, sometimes, you know, you've done these where you do the wedding, you slay it, and you leave and they put on a boombox and they're still going crazy at 2 a.m., right? It's not you, right? That's just an unbelievable crowd. But you have to look at that and go, what was me? And an ego check is fine for you to inflate your own ego if in fact it was you. The flip side is there were weddings that I did that were, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, they were a 3 or a 4. They weren't, I mean, they thought it was amazing. But by my standards, I was like, yeah, below average. But what I know is I made it a 4 and most DJs would have gotten a 1 out of it. So what things did you do at this event that were you, that you brought, that a competent DJ couldn't have brought to this? And if you'll do that with everything, this ego check, it's a regular thing that you have to do. If you'll do an ego check, it'll force you to be better. Because at the end of the night, you're like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what I brought to this. I phoned this one in. And we've all done it, man. We've all just kind of gone through the motions, and it might just be we you know, mentally we weren't there, or we had other stuff going on, or it was the, you know, 5th wedding in 4 days kind of a thing, and we've all done it. But if you know at the end of your event there's going to be an ego check, and I know for me there was always an ego check. And when I worked with my DJs, you know, when we would drive home together, we would do this, and it's like, so let's do the post-mortem on this party. Like, how did this go? What did we really bring? And there were times when it would be just like, you know, I don't know that I really brought anything. Sometimes it was because a client really didn't allow it. Now, that's unusual. People use that excuse too much. It's like, no, they just wanted the basics. Like, yeah, everybody says that because they don't know what their options are. But it does happen. It just, you know, you're probably 1 out of 100 maybe. Generally, those people get weeded out in the sales process. So it's pretty unusual that I would have a client that really handcuffed me. We found that more in corporate. You know, we're dealing with somebody in human resources doing the party who shouldn't be doing parties, and they just say no to everything because they're playing it safe. But in weddings, it's pretty unusual. So do an ego check and do it on everything you do in life. Like, if you think you nailed something, was it you? Maybe it was you, and you know, pat yourself on the back and it's like, yeah, that was great. I tore this up. And maybe you go, you know what? I took it to an 8, but really somebody else could have taken it to a 10. And there's some people, like, I got a chance to watch Marcello at a wedding. I got a chance to see Big Daddy perform. I got a chance to see some you know, Mike Walter and some pretty amazing DJs over the years perform, and Peter Mary, and I would watch these guys, and sometimes I would say at the end of the night, could Big Daddy have gotten more out of this crowd? Could Mars have gotten more out of this crowd? And if the answer is yes, then I know I fell short. And a lot of times, you know, ego checks, they can hit you a little bit, but it'll make you stronger. So that's today's ego check. Talk to you later.